proceed now. Good morning, everyone. Just to say again, I'm Barbara Follett, Ken's international agent, and inter alia, his wife. We're here today to talk about Ken's latest book, A Column of Fire, which is the third in the Kingsbridge series. And after a brief introduction from me and a short film, Ken will say something about A Column of Fire, and he will take your questions for half an hour. We do have to finish at 12 on the dot, and before you ask a question, would you mind making sure you have the microphone, because we're being live streamed on Facebook, and without a microphone, your question can't be heard. As you know, the Kingsbridge series of books has been hugely successful in the world over. We have sold 26 million copies of The Pillars of the Earth in Germany alone. In the world. And 38 million, I'm very sorry, and 38 million copies of the Kingsbridge books worldwide. That's out of a total of 160 million books which Ken has sold. And we're very pleased to be here in Germany, where he has such a popular following. As I managed to get my figures wrong, please, will you check them in the press pack that is on your desk, and you have an electronic copy of it too on your desk. Please feel free to take both with you. It has many things in it, but it has a lot of access as well. You can ask the Follett office for archive pictures. Please feel free to use us as a resource. That's what we're there to do. So if you want a picture of Ken at 3 in front of a Christmas tree, we have it. Okay. Now I'm going to ask Chris to put on the film, to show the film that we made whilst Ken was researching this book. Anybody who's got a sharp eye will notice that his hairstyle, his hair gets longer and shorter, but it was taken over a period of 3 years, and it tells the progress of the research of this book. You will find that film on your thumb drive that we've given you, and it is you're completely free to use any of it any way you like. We own the rights, the Follett office, and we are ceding them to you. So please use it as you will. Chris.
In the Pillars of the Earth, the people of Kingsbridge built a great cathedral. In World Without End, their descendants coped with the most terrible plague that the human race has ever known, the Black Death. And in A Column of Fire, they lived through the political earthquake that shook Europe in the 16th century, which was Protestantism. The story begins in Kingsbridge. In 1558, our young hero goes to work for Princess Elizabeth, and he comes here to this house, Hatfield Old Palace, which is where the princess lived before she was queen. And he finds himself at the heart of the intrigues of English politics. In the 16th century, Europe was divided into Protestants and Catholics. When Queen Elizabeth I became Queen of England, she was the only Protestant monarch of a major country. Before she became Queen, Queen Elizabeth said, "It is my dearest wish that when I'm Queen, no man will be killed for his beliefs." Queen Elizabeth I became public enemy number one in Europe. Everybody wanted to assassinate her, the Pope, the King of Spain, the King of France. And so she set up the first English secret service to protect herself, a spy organisation, the very first. The young hero of A Column of Fire goes to work for her. He's a sort of 16th century James Bond.
And so my story begins in Kingsbridge and spreads all over 16th century Europe.
The important thing for me, and the reason I want to look at these places and walk around them, is that I've got to imagine these dramatic events happening. And when I come to imagine it, I need to know that I have an accurate picture in my head of what the place was like. And then I can imagine the people moving around and the drama and the dialogue and the atmosphere. If I don't know this stuff, I'm constantly stumbling over the fact that I don't know. Not knowing is an obstacle to my imagination.
By the time I make this trip, I've planned a scene in this city. And so my curiosity is already aroused. What would it have been like? I've got a scene on the waterfront in Seville. Well, what is the waterfront like?
This is the kind of thing that you can't fudge. You have to have the exact details. You have to get them right to create that excitement.
Paris in the 16th century was very different from the city we know today. I wanted to look at bits of Paris that still appear the same as they did in the 16th century. My friend Professor Donaldson is a historian. He knows Paris very well, particularly medieval Paris. I asked him to walk around with me.
This is the Pont Notre Dame, the Notre Dame Bridge, and it was here in the 16th century, but in that era there would have been houses and shops on both sides of the road.
This is a rue de Levée, and lots of people lived here. 2, 3, 4 people in the same room.
This is a map of Paris in about 1550. It's a wonderful piece of work because it's half a street plan and half a bird's eye view. This helps me to imagine my characters moving around these streets.
This row of shops, or something very like it, was here in the 16th century, and I've imagined that my French hero, who's a woman called Sylvie, lives in this stretch. Her father has a bookshop and printing works, and they sell, as well as normal books, they sell illegal books, which are things like Protestant literature, such as the Bible in French. And of course the perfect place to do it is in the shadow of Notre Dame Cathedral. Here we are in the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, on the bank of the River Loire, in the great French town of Orléans. I just learned the original cathedral was demolished by the Protestants in 1568. They blew up the 4 pillars supporting the bell tower, and when the tower collapsed, it destroyed pretty much the whole building. Such a dramatic episode, I think I'd better put it in the book. In the 16th century, the richest city in Europe was Antwerp. Here there were Jews, Muslims, Catholics, and Protestants.
An interesting place to take my readers to as part of this international drama.
I'm in the Museum of London, in the heart of the old city of London, and I'm here to find out about the clothes that my characters would have worn in the 16th century. Here is some very mundane 16th century clothing. A brown sock, knitted. Knitting was a relatively new thing in the 16th century. And in A Column of Fire, Barney Willard, a fictional character, goes to sea, and I'm finding out what he might have worn as a sailor in the 16th century. We're looking at a shirt, very beautifully embroidered. I think I'd like a shirt like that.
is the National Portrait Gallery. The fictional characters in the book are, of course, made up by me, so I make up whether they've got blonde hair or brown eyes. But there are quite a lot of real characters. And this is where I come to find out what those people looked like. What Queen Elizabeth looked like. Queen Elizabeth I of England, here in her prime, about 40. Look at the strength in that face. She needed to be strong. This painter has caught her vanity, incredibly elaborate dress, very careful hairdo, thick, white makeup. I think what he hasn't caught here is what she was famous for, which was for being a flirt. This was a powerful political weapon for her because she pretended she was going to marry a whole string of Catholic princes. This fooled many people into thinking that one day some man would marry her, control her, and bring her back to the true religion. And of course, that was just not going to happen. So everybody who tried to kill Elizabeth wanted to replace her with a Catholic monarch so that England would become Catholic again. The person they all had in mind was Mary, Queen of Scots. She was a good Catholic. She had a claim to the English throne. In fact, according to the Pope, she was the rightful Queen of England. And these two women, who actually never met, were enemies. Mary, Queen of Scots, escaped from a prison in Scotland. And when you do a scene like that, an escape from a prison, the physical details are absolutely paramount. That's where the suspense comes from. How high is the wall? Is the gate locked? Who's watching? Who might be watching? So I felt I really needed to go and look at this prison on an island in the middle of a lake in Scotland. And the first thing that happened was I realized how important the weather was, because I got into this little boat to go from the mainland to the island, and it was pouring and windy and the water was quite rough. And so I immediately realized that the weather could be a crucial element of this story. So it's one chapter in the book, and it's rather delightfully tragic. This very sparky young woman escapes from one prison and sadly 2 weeks later ends up in another prison. I grew up in an evangelical Christian sect, the Plymouth Brethren. All my relatives belonged to the same church. So all four grandparents, I had lots of aunts and uncles and cousins, all lived in or near Cardiff, where I was born, and all went to the various chapels of this sect dotted around South Wales. Our beliefs included a kind of sweeping Puritanism, so any form of pleasure was considered wicked in my childhood. Pleasure itself was a bad word, so I wasn't allowed to go to the movies. We didn't have a TV or a radio in the house. Strangely enough, my parents omitted to censor the books I read. At the age of 12, I started reading James Bond. And I'm still not quite sure why they didn't clamp down on that. Very violent. James Bond still is with a hero whose philosophy of life was about as contrary to that of the Plymouth Brethren as you could get. I almost find it amusing now to read the kind of things that Protestants said in the 16th century about Catholics and recall that I was told those things as a child as if they were true. I hasten to add that I haven't believed any of that stuff since I reached the age of reason. But it does give me a certain familiarity with the kind of conflicts that I'm writing about in this 16th century story. Excitement and action in a story is all very well, but it's much better if it's in aid of some cause, like winning a war. I always like these adventures
to be attached to something real. And the issue in the 16th century was religious tolerance. You were supposed to go to the church that the king told you to go to and say the prayers the king told you to say. But there were a few people who fought for the freedom to go to whatever church you like, sing whatever hymns you like, read the Bible in your own language. These were the things that people fought for.
I know what people think it's a book about religion, although I talk a lot about religion. It's not about religion, it's about tolerance, it's about human rights. This is the first battle we fought for freedom. It comes before democracy, before the rule of law, before freedom of speech. Freedom of religion is kind of the base upon which all the other freedoms were built. Once we started that fight, then we could say, not only does everybody have the right to their own religion, they also have their right to their own opinion about everything else. I still love the Pillars of the Earth, but it's been fun to write a more wide-ranging story in Woe Our Head. And now in A Column of Fire, the scope and the geography of the novel is much bigger. I'm still incredibly fond of Kingsbridge, and so are the readers, so we still spend a lot of time there.
I just want to say that was a family effort. Jan Turner is our daughter, and we're very glad to have her cooperation, as she is actually a Hollywood director of TV series, but she takes time out to do that for us. Also, I'd just like to correct my numbers. If we've sold 35 million pillars across the world, we sold just over 5 and a bit million in Germany. So you can see how popular it is in this country. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Ken Follett, who I first met in 1982 in a Labour Party meeting. I thought he was a bit arrogant then. I don't know if I've changed my mind yet, but Ken.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you. It's great to be in Frankfurt for the book fair again. My German publishers are LovelyBooks.de, and this morning I asked my officer how many books LovelyBooks.de have sold of my stories in German, and the answer is 30 million.
Well done.
So you can imagine that I have a soft spot in my heart for LovelyBooks.de and for German readers. When I started trying to write novels, I started with thrillers because I loved to read thrillers, and I still love to read thrillers. But I had one misgiving about the thrillers that I was reading, which was that the mission of the spy often seemed perfunctory. It was just a pretext for getting James Bond into some dangerous situation that he would have to fight his way out of. And I wanted my spies to have a real important mission. So I started to study what real spies actually do. And what spies do in real life is they seek out information that could change the course of a battle or a war. And so I began to read the histories of battles and wars, looking for moments when the work of a spy could change the result of the battle. And that worked for me. My first successful book was about a spy, a German spy in wartime England, who discovered the secrets of the D-Day invasion. And that book was called Eye of the Needle in English, and it was a big success, and it changed my life. In recent years, my stories have been about people fighting for their freedom. And that's because it strikes me that in human society, freedom is unusual. Most people in the world today live under a tyranny, and it's been that way all through history. Freedom is exceptional. And after all, if you're in power, why be democratic? Why not just be a dictator and steal everything, like Putin in Russia and Zuma in South Africa and 1,000 greedy dictators since the beginning of civilization? So how does it happen? How do we get freedom? And my big historical novels, Pillars of the Earth, World Without End, and the Century Trilogy, all explore people fighting for freedom in different ways. In Fall of Giants, I wrote about the suffragettes demanding the vote. In Age of Eternity, I wrote about African Americans demanding their civil rights. And of course it interests me politically, but more importantly, it interests me from a literary point of view, because it's a great story when some oppressed group in society demands freedom and wins the political battle. It's a good story, it has a happy ending. I like happy endings. And Economy of Fire is another story in that mould. It's about religious freedom, as I mentioned in the film. And it's about the very beginnings of the demand for religious freedom at a time when nobody talked about democracy. Most people in the 16th century believed there was one true religion, and anybody who didn't follow it should be burned to death. Of course, they all disagreed about which was the true religion, but they were pretty much in agreement about the burning to death part. And the people who did not think that were very few and rather brave, people who first came up with the suggestion that maybe we should be allowed to worship as we like. And the radicals who believed in religious freedom and tried with very little success to bring religious freedom about included three powerful women. No coincidence, I suspect. Queen Elizabeth I of England, Queen Catherine of France, who was known as Catherine de' Medici because she was Italian, and Margaret of Parma, who was the governor of the Netherlands. And the battle for religious freedom was fought out in those countries, England, the Netherlands, and France. Three of my main characters are Ned Willard, who's born in Kingsbridge and travels to France and the Netherlands. Sylvie Pallow, born in Paris, she smuggles Bibles into Paris, Bibles in the French language, illegal at the time, and if caught, she would have been executed. And Abrima Dabo, who was born in Africa and travels to Spain and then the Netherlands. The story begins in 1558, the year Queen Elizabeth came to the throne in England. As I mentioned in the film, she turned England Protestant and became public enemy number one in Europe. The three most powerful men in Europe were the King of Spain, the King of France, and the Pope, and they all wanted to kill Queen Elizabeth. And that's why she set up the first English Secret Service. The man in charge, the man who played the role, which in the James Bond films is played by a character called M, that man was, in real life, was Sir Francis Walsingham. And my fictional character, Ned Willard, plays the James Bond role. And the other thing about this is that it worked. Walsingham and his men smoked out all the assassins. There was a series of assassination plots. They were all uncovered by the spies and secret agents. The assassins were arrested. They were tortured, because that was normal in those days. And they were executed. And Queen Elizabeth lived to the age of 69, which was old then, and died in her bed. Nobody managed to assassinate her. So it was a triumph. And I'll just add, if you'll permit me to be a bit boastful, that this book, which was published a month ago, went to the #1 position on the bestseller lists in the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, Denmark, and Quebec. And I'm very happy, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased to have made all those readers happy. Story about the religious wars and the secret agents of the 16th century. And now, if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Can I just say again, could you hold your hand up and indicate, and people will bring you a mic? Okay, then. If you hold your hand up and catch my eye, if you can. At the back, over there.
A lady at the front.
And a lady in the front over here next. Okay. In the stripy shirt. There we are. Okay.
Hello, my name is Michelle Fitzpatrick from the French news agency AFP. You talk about the secret services, and the news stories we've had in the last couple of years have shown us this is not just the stuff of thriller novels. There are actual secret service agents doing quite incredible things on a day-to-day basis. Thinking about this, the revelations from Edward Snowden, talk of interference in the US election. Do you ever read these news stories and think, well, I couldn't even make that up. The truth is just stranger than fiction?
No, I could make it up, actually, probably. The thing about secret services is that they can't be controlled. They are very dangerous, secret services. They can't be controlled because they're secret. And although somebody is always nominally in charge, in Britain, for example, the Prime Minister is theoretically in charge of the Secret Service, but if they lie to him, then he will never find out. So they are uncontrollable, Secret Service, and that's why they're dangerous. And that's why every now and again we get these revelations about what those people really did, usually in the past, but now, thanks to Snowden, in the present. And it's very shocking. So the Secret Service is always a dangerous thing, but nobody manages without them. Let's have another question.
Thank you. Woman in the structure.
Hello, my name is Christina from German Radio. Could you please tell us again how you are working? You are writing alone, I think, but you have a lot of stuff around you working and researching, or how does it work?
Well, I do have an office, but they don't do the research for the books. They take care of things like organizing this press conference. And I do the research pretty much myself. I sometimes use the services of Dan Starrer, who's a researcher, but he finds old books and maps. He finds people for me to interview, but I do the interviews myself. I read the books myself. So I don't have a team of people amassing information for me. However, when I've written the first draft of a book, I then show it to experts, and I pay people quite well to read my draft and correct it. And if you look in the acknowledgements at the back of the book, you'll find the names of various history professors and others who have helped me with the book. There are, I think, five different historians mentioned in the first paragraph of the acknowledgements, and that's very helpful to me, because if I make a slip, or if I just say something that couldn't have happened in the 16th century, just because I never thought to question it, then these historians will know. So that's the only time I have a team of people.
Can I just add to that? We have a marvellous picture of Ken with all the 200 or so books that you consulted during this period, because people often ask us for a bibliography, which we haven't yet made, but we do have this picture, should you want it. And we have a question here from another
Hello,
one.
Mr. Follett, Oana Portase, Antena 3, Romania. You write about religion, and also religion had a big impact on your life when you were a child. What does religion mean to you now?
Well, I stopped believing in my parents' religion when I was about 18. I'm an atheist, but I sometimes describe myself as a lapsed atheist because I like going to church. It may sound weird, but I love the architecture of churches. I like the music when it's good. If next time you're in England, if you get the chance, I recommend you go to a service called Choral Evensong in a cathedral, usually on Saturday night, and the choir sings. It's a sung service, and it's a breathtaking experience. And that's the kind of reason that draws me to churches. And it is spiritual, but I don't believe you can erect a belief system on the basis of a spiritual experience, and that's why I'm an atheist.
Woman in the blue shirt.
Ute Kahle for the Tagessatz from Göttingen, Germany. Last time we met, we talked about your books being audible and being read for the readers. Now, today we've seen the publishment of the game. Did you ever try it out yourself, and how did you enjoy it, like walking through Loch Leven on the day on the computer?
I played the board game of the Pillars of the Earth before it was actually manufactured. They brought a prototype to London, and the two guys who designed the game spread this board out in Claridge's Hotel, actually, in London. And we played the game, and I said I thought it was wonderful, and said it was okay for them to go ahead with it. Since then, I have not played any of the board games, and I have not yet played the computer game, but I probably will at some point. The reason I was keen to agree to the development of these games, especially the video game, is that I hope some of the people who play the video game may think, well, this is pretty interesting, maybe I should read the book. And I saw it as possibly a way of introducing my books to a new group of readers. I don't know, that may just be wishful thinking, I don't know, but... and anyway, it was exciting. That's the other thing about the video game. At one point, there were 50 people working on this video game in this office in Hamburg. And it's taken them 3 years. The artwork and the story and all the software. So that was interesting too. So it's been a happy experience for me, the video game. Whether it will get me any new readers, we shall see. Another question.
Gentleman over there.
Hi, Ken. Talking about new readers, I'm from the UAE, a paper called The National, published in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the Greater Gulf. There's a lot of you have a lot of fans over there, and some of them have asked me before I come here, would Ken ever consider in your future works to perhaps do some kind of storyline, kind of based in the deep histories of of the Middle East and the Gulf, and because there's a lot of stuff there, and so some of the fan clubs said, make sure you ask Ken that question.
Okay. Right now, I don't have a Middle Eastern story in mind, but it's perfectly possible one day. It's a region that has everything you need for a dramatic story. It has terrible wars. It has rival powers. It has an extraordinarily romantic landscape in the Middle East. So I can quite easily imagine a story based on the history of the Middle East. So tell them to watch this space.
Gentleman over here in the white shirt.
Ken, hello. My name is Roger Taghome. I write for Publishing Perspectives. You mentioned in the film a lot of political machinations in Europe at the time. I just wondered, would the people of Kingsbridge be Remainers or Brexiteers?
Very good.
Yes.
We've met before, haven't we? You've interviewed me, yeah, I thought so. The people of Kingsbridge would definitely be Remainers. They would hate the idea of Brexit. It's a trading city, Kingsbridge. They trade all over Europe. The Willard family has branches in Seville, Calais, and Antwerp. And they would absolutely hate and loathe the idea of Brexit because it would be the end of their business. They are consciously international. You may remember, but probably won't, that in the book there's a moment when I think it's Barney, one of the sons, says, our parents taught us always to try and learn at least a few words of any language that we came across, which is why he's able to speak to the woman he loves in a West African language. So it's, I'm a Remainer, and I believe the people of Kingsbridge would be Remainers, and it's no secret that I think Brexit is an absolute disaster for my country.
On that cheering note, any more questions? We have a lack of men. Yeah, the woman again.
It's me again.
Yeah, it's okay.
I was wondering, you said your aim was becoming rich with your books. So I think you reached your aim, and I would like to know, what is luxury for you? What do you love to do with the money? Some cars or something like that?
All of those things, yes.
Yes.
Cars, champagne, fancy restaurants. Of course, if all I wanted was to make a fortune, then I would have stopped years ago and retired to play golf. When I go to hell, then they will make me play golf all day. And I, ever since becoming successful, I've continued this not just to make money, but also because I love doing it. I always wanted to write stories that would entertain millions of people, and I still want to do that. And when I wake up in the morning, that's what's on my mind. It's the story that I'm working on and what I'm going to do next, and how to make the next scene in the story exciting, and most important of all, how to make sure the reader wants to turn over to the next page. So that's what drives me now. No doubt at some point in my youth I gave that quote about I just want to be rich. It may have been a bit light-hearted.
What I should say is that we have a huge family. Ken and I have 6 children between us and 8 grandchildren. And I would say that's where a lot of the money actually does go, in truth. Woman in the white shirt.
Hello, this is Verena from Lieblingsleseplatz. I want to know, on which project are you working at the moment?
How much?
Which project I'm working at the
Sorry,
moment?
I missed that.
Well, I finished Column of Fire at Christmas. So since then, I've been working on a new story. The outline is almost finished, but I'm not quite committed to it yet. So I'm hesitating to say what it's about, because when I finish my book tour and get back to it, I may read what I've written and think this isn't good enough and throw it away. I have actually done that in the past. One time I worked for a year on a book, and the publishers liked it and everybody liked the outline, and then one day I got a letter from a reader saying she had just read Eye of the Needle, and it was so exciting that she was sitting on the edge of her chair while she was reading it. And I thought, will she sit on the edge of her chair while she's reading this book that I'm planning to write? And I didn't think she would. And that's why I threw it away and started something else. So just in case I throw this story away, I'm not going to tell you what it's about. I'm sorry.
Gentleman in the back with the hoodie. Mike coming. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Florian from the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. I'm wondering whether the story you've been telling us about is a 4th volume of the Kingsbridge series. And if there would be a 4th volume of the Kingsbridge series, what would it be about? The 17th century, the King and Parliament, the Glorious Revolution. Is there anything in the pipeline there?
There will be another book in the Kingsbridge series, I'm sure. I like it, the readers like it. Whether it will be my next book, I don't know. What was the rest of the question? What?
No, that was it.
I know what I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Oh, one idea. Now, during this book tour, a lot of readers and some journalists have kindly suggested where the Kingsbridge series might go next. And of course, one idea is the United States, or as it was called in the 16th century, New Spain. because the Mayflower, one of Ned's grandchildren goes on the Mayflower, and of course there could be a town called Kingsbridge, Massachusetts, and we could have a story set there. That, by the way, that wasn't my idea, that was a journalist's idea. He's not getting any money, by the way, if I do it. So you're quite right, lots of possibilities. Almost certainly there will be another Kingsbridge book. I don't know what that book will be about.
And a question, that gentleman again, yes.
Just in terms of historical fiction, a lot of your books are, they're thrillers, they're very exciting. In terms of the balance, I mean, do you ever think about, okay, how much do I want to entertain and how much do I want to educate? Because your book as well, I mean, sometimes is a bridge to further education about that particular topic. I mean, is that something that's in your mind, or is it mostly about, how much can keep the people at the edge of their seat?
It's mostly about that, yes. My main aim in writing is to draw the reader into this imaginary world and make the reader forget the real world all around and prefer the imaginary world of the book. That's the aim. Now, and I use history, as I said at the beginning, I use history because I think some real history heightens the drama of the story. But it is also true that my readers like the fact that they learn something from these books and that they can rely on the history being accurate in the books. And I consider that as a sort of bonus. It's not the main point at all, and I don't think of myself as an educator. I sort of back off from that because I worry that if I say yes to that question, then people will think that the book is worthy. And that's a terrible word in English, isn't it? Worthy. Something worthy, it's going to be really boring. So I back off from that. So absolutely. It's not really entertainment, it's enchanting the reader, casting a spell, and that's my main aim, and the information and what you learn. I like the fact people say, for example, about Fall of Giants, people say, I never understood the First World War, but now I do, and that's kind of, that pleases me, but it's not the main point.
I think now, as we've come towards the end of the questions, I'm going to just break the spell a bit. And we're going to have another photocall, but I wondered if it would be all right if I could ask Birgit Lubber to come up and have a picture with Ken as a representative. I don't know if Marco wants to come with you. Marco, do you want to come too? Yes. Because these are Ken's German publishers who totally deserve to be there. And Barbara Fisher, where is she? There. Now, let me look at you. Off you go.
So we'll...
Yes, I'm going to, and if there's anyone else who wants a specific picture, we can do 2 or 3 like that.
Okay.
And can you take their bags? Yeah. I'm sorry to jump you to. Yes, okay, off you go. Go and stand with Ken, Birgit. I thought it was so nice to have you here. There.
Please.
Yeah. Yes. You check with him in a minute. Hi, how are you?
To have a
Come close.
As the country guest of honor of the
So you in the middle,
Yes.
Birgit. Yeah. Right,
Okay.
yes, that's right.
Maggie? Hello, my dear.
Ah, yes.
Chris, the next one is is France, because they're the guest of honor at the fair. Madame. Thank you. Oh, God.
Olivier.
Okay, we'll do that. Let's do... Ken, we're going to do France next.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So here comes France.
Les Français.
Oh, you're not France, sorry, I was about to push you.
Bonjour.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Maggie.
Sir.
Italy, do you want to go and have a picture? Drop everything then. France. Go on, more France.
Of course.
Yes. Maggie, put your hands forward. Look, that's it. Yeah.
Maggie, look at Olivier.
Okay, let's have a quick look at you all.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are you Italy
pleasure.
too?
Very nice to see
Take
you.
your bag off. Yes, too. Yes. Thank you. Here comes Italy. Italy.
Like this?
Yes, I just had to deal with something. It just happens, as you know. Very happy, yeah.
Okay.
Let me just push. Okay, let's have Italy through. Here comes Italy.
Italy. Hello. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Mwah.
How are you?
How good to see you.
Okay.
Our director.
Where's Chris got to?
Oh.
I've got no one here with me.
Congratulations. And here it is.
Sorry, Cecile, I'm being rude.
Here we are.
In a row. Fantastic.
Great.
Okay, Italy, look happy. And now we've got Romania, who... Sorry? Finland. Okay.
Hello.
Thank you.
You're a Romanian publisher, you know.
Good.
Romania, put your hands in front of you. That's right.
Look at Olivier.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And the
You're
next,
welcome.
Ken, is Finland.
Hello.
Greece, okay.
Is this your
Greece,
edition?
Put your stuff down.
Okay.
Greece, put your stuff down. Finland. Serbia.
How could you guess?
Finland, this is. Coming up is Greece.
Okay.
Greece coming up.
No point.
Ken, Greece.
Thank you. I don't have the book yet.
Okay.
And now Serbia coming up. Anybody else? We've done the countries.
Wow. And you need to understand that in the Serbian language, it's correct to spell my name like this.
2 minutes.
Because every letter has to be pronounced.
Barbara, we need to do a couple of signatures.
Yep.
Where should we do them?
1 second, 2 copies.
This is Barbara.
Okay.
Okay. Now, is there Germany?
We did Germany.
We've done Germany. We did Germany. Now, Ken, there are a couple of people who want you to sign a book. Will you do that? Italy, will you just get your book signed? We'll do it at the desk. Do you want to do it at the desk, Ken? It's easy.
Yeah, let's do it here.
Yes, go back to the desk.
I'll
Chris,
sit-
will you just
sit-
monitor this for me? Thanks.